All right, I know you thought you came to the Garlic Marketing Show, but we have the lifestyles of the rich and famous this show. I've got Lea Woodford from Legacy Jets. Lea, say hi.
Hi, everyone.
We're going to talk about how she uses jets to land 100K masterminds. How she's landed amazing interviews with people like Jane Seymour, Guy Fieri, Dan Sullivan, Gene Simmons, Guy Kiyosaki. The last media interview with Suzanne Summers. How she's used her magazines to get a 92% acceptance rate as a speaker and fly her to Australia first class. I mean, it's ridiculous how the show is, but I think it's going to really blow your mind about using jets as a marketing tool, as well as what can go wrong using private jets and memberships. All of this on the Garlic Marketing Show, but of course, it's brought to you by videocasestory.com. If you want to get our 2025 YouTube planner, just opt in below and you'll get all the show notes. You'll get all the to-do lists from this episode and make sure not to miss another episode. All right, let's get started.
My name is Gino Wickman. I was introduced to Ian, and that's what brought me into this video world and got me embracing this video world. And Ian did exactly what I hoped. He got me really comfortable with putting videos out to the world and having a great strategy around putting videos out to the world, because there's so much more than just shooting a video. And so the way that he positions those videos, optimizes those videos, he's done a great job.
All right. I love it. I mean, these are fun things to talk about. And I want to talk about, because I think people just think of like a private jet as, oh, it's this either thing way out of my budget or I don't need to spend money on it. And they don't think of it as this opportunity. And I met Lea at a mastermind, and she was talking about all these things that she's done with it, and all these amazing clients. And I'm like, I need you to tell everyone how to do this. But also she prints 2 magazines, and I think that is fantastic. And talk about how those magazines work and how she's used them to build her business. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I am a recovering media personality. Ever since social media came on the scene, it's kind of displaced people in the news. Very few people actually watch the news anymore. They're getting their news on TikTok, on Instagram, whatever. So it really kind of put news in a different category in the fact that it's really not news.
Yeah.
So, and I've just always had this thing for magazines. I got my first subscription at 15 to 17 magazine. It was one of my Christmas presents from my grandmother. And I've just always had a love affair with print because it invokes all the senses. It's you can touch it, you can smell it, but you can take it with you. And there's just a cachet that you just don't have with just straight digital.
Yeah. And tell me a little bit about, how you like your journey into using print.
Well, I had a TV show on Amazon Prime, and it was great. It was chugging along, and then COVID hit. And because they were getting all these free movies and free content from all the major studios, us independents were kind of kicked off. So fortunately for me, I had started creating a magazine for myself to get on stages. I'm also a professional speaker, so I created Speaker Life to get on stages. And fortunately, I had already started that process. But little did I know, when COVID hit, they became the rage. Subscription boxes and magazines and anything print just went through the roof once COVID hit.
And so tell me about your first publishing and when you knew that, oh, this really works.
Well, it wasn't right away. I'm just going to tell you because although I had been a columnist for years and I'd been a TV correspondent, I didn't know the first thing about magazine layout, and my first magazines pretty much look like it. So I am so lucky that Jack Canfield talks to me after that first. And then I just decided, I looked at that, and it's funny because one of my clients was Jeep, and he said, "Boy, when you get your magazines at the quality of your video, come see me again." And it was just like, okay. And I took that to heart, and I almost quit, but I really learned everything I could in 6 months so that when I came back stronger.
Nice. And what were some of the key things that you learned about, making a quality magazine?
You don't do it in Canva. I love Canva, don't get me wrong. I use it all the time on social media, but it is not good for print. I had to, I had learned how to use Photoshop and stuff for video editing, but I had to learn InDesign. And really, now I have a team that does it, but until you know the mechanics yourself, it's hard to direct somebody else, Ian.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And then as far as you know, content and distribution and making it worth your time. Tell me a little bit about how you figured those things out.
Well, I never thought of it as anything other than a lead generator. What I When I created Speaker Life, and I don't have my speaker box with me, but let me show you what I did. I have a box that has my picture and it says Speaker Life on it. And then I put the magazine in it along with some swag and my Speaker One sheet. And I got a lot of yeses. I had about a 90, I would say about a 92% success rate, because there were still people who said, I don't know when we're coming out of COVID. So, and they hadn't, not everybody adopted the virtual stages. So I learned right away it was unique and it was different. And let's face it, in those days of lockdown, Ian, we were excited when the Amazon guy showed up.
Yeah.
So I had interviewed Sherry Salata in 2009. She's the executive producer of Oprah. And I asked her, how do you get in Oprah's book club? And she said, it's really simple. The people that are really creative in their packaging go in one pile, and everybody in the manila envelope goes in the janitor's closet. And then they read the first 20 pages. And I took that to heart, but I didn't even think about it until COVID hit, to be honest with you. I was going through, and it's just like, oh yeah, maybe I need to do something like that. And that's really how it started.
That's really, really cool. And so you started doing this and started publishing the magazine. And tell me about, 92% acceptance rate. What did that mean for you business wise?
Well, that meant everything. First of all, I know that everybody is going to be hitting these event planners. They're going to be hitting their inbox or LinkedIn or social channels, but nobody's going to be sending them a beautiful swag box personally. But it also allowed me to pick and choose where I wanted to go. I don't want to be speaking in Iowa. So I picked the places that I wanted to go. And that's really kind of how I did it.
And how much were you speaking at that point?
Well, I was speaking quite a bit about, before COVID hit. And I came up with this idea because I didn't want to speak everywhere. I wanted to really, I didn't want to be a road warrior anymore. I wanted to really slow down and just go to the ones that had my ideal target demographic, but a bigger bang for my buck, if you will.
Gotcha. What was your favorite place you spoke at?
Australia.
Nice.
I did 4 90-minute keynotes and probably the most uncomfortable heels I ever had on. I was there for 10 days. They bought it was a large real estate training firm, and they actually bought my books and gave them out, and they flew my husband and me in first class. And I just said, don't pay me. My God, you paid for my husband's first class ticket. And we stayed there for 10 days, and they put us up and it was a time for me to really build relationships. I like to go deep versus wide in my relationships.
I love that.
And so that's what I do. He found out that my husband was a pilot, so he rented a Piper. We were flying. He wanted to fly with Paul, so I'm in the back taking pictures. But we were flying 500 feet above Sydney Harbor.
What?
Yeah,
500
yeah,
feet?
yes,
Oh my
yes.
God. That,
Um, I know, I
that
know.
that's crazy.
It was magical. It was really, really magical. And that's been my favorite place, and then there's great places in California. I've been to San Francisco. I've been to, some other places, but that's been my very favorite. I was
Lo-
supposed to go to Ireland, but COVID hit, so I haven't quite made it to Ireland yet, but I'll
Ireland's
get
great.
there.
You'll get there. Yes. And so I mean, you started adding obviously articles, but then you started interviewing people. Tell me about like adding and interviewing people, some of the people that you've interviewed for your magazines.
Oh, well, I'm very blessed because I had the last media interview with Suzanne Summers.
Wow.
And I have been a fan since I was 16 years old. And she has been, people know her as Chrissy Snow, but she has been an entrepreneur and created an organic skincare line. And I think she's written 27 best-selling books. She's really an
Wow.
innovator. And I got to interview her, and even though she's passed, her company still advertises with us.
That's
You know,
phenomenal. That's
I just love her. She loved this cover so much. I was up here and my husband goes, "What did you order from Suzanne Summers?" I said, "I didn't order anything." He goes, "There are 3 giant boxes." She sent me every product line she has. I mean, I think I have Suzanne's products to last me about 3 years. She is that kind of person.
oh, that's so nice to hear. And you've interviewed a lot of other amazing people too. Tell me about.
I I I have not just for me, but this is Jane Seymour. When I started doing the magazines, then I started having companies ask me to do their magazines, and this is international retail. And a lot of people don't know that Jane Seymour is probably one of the most successful female retailers out there. She sold, I think it was $2 billion worth of jewelry
Wow.
through K Jewelers. So jewelry she had designed. So I've got to interview, I mean, Alice Cooper, um, Kiss, you name it. Our last article, we had Guy Fieri, my first celebrity chef. Really, really amazing guy. Um, I'm working, I just interviewed Dan Sullivan,
Yeah.
uh, CEO of Strategic Coach. So I leverage the magazine to interview them, and I make it about them. It
Hmm.
really is about them and creating value for my audience. And I leverage it to build relationships.
I love it. And you've used it also with Legacy Jets. Tell me a little bit about how you've used it with Legacy. Tell me about Legacy Jets and tell us all about how you've used it to grow Legacy Jets.
Well, my husband wanted me to come on as in Legacy Jets is our jet company, and he wanted me to come in full time as a CMO. And I said, nope, I won't do that, but I'll create an in-flight magazine for you. And one of our very first interviews was Robert Kiyosaki, and we're at the Scottsdale airport, and he comes over and he goes, "Do you guys charter jets?" And I said, "Yes." That's why it's an in-flight magazine. And then we got the interview. We became friends. He's in my phone. Everybody at interview is in my phone because I never want it to be a one and done. But he rented a jet from us, and he said, "Can you help me buy one?" Because he really jets can be an income producing tax deduction if you know what you're doing.
Wow.
And that's, a lot of these people with megabucks need tax deductions. And there is a very strategic way to leverage jets so you can fly for free because the chartering offsets the cost.
I love it.
But the initial investment is a write off. And then there's a depreciation that you can take over 5 years. So there's so many benefits to owning a jet as long as you have somebody who knows what they're doing and managing it well.
Amazing, amazing. And you've got the tax benefits, but also you've used jets as a marketing and sales tool,
Oh, yeah.
correct? Tell-
There's nothing more fun than a hangar party. Where we have a conference, then after the conference, we have a big party with music and jets, and people come and get to experience it. It just gives people a chance to see what the other side's like and just say, hey, it's not that big, scary thing. Ed Milet says this, and I love it. You have to touch the dream before you can build the dream.
Interesting. That's amazing. I love that.
So I also interviewed him.
and because we talked about, like, you've flown CEOs and they have meetings on it. How does that transform a relationship if you take your prospects or someone onto a jet?
It's life-changing. First of all, it's a really elegant experience. It's something that most people will never experience. So when they experience that, and they drive the car right up to the jet, get right on. There's no TSA. The hassle, 2.5, 3 hours to get to the airport, and security, and do you have your TSA pre-check? None of that. There's beautiful catering. We take care of everything, so it's a perfect experience for them.
That's phenomenal. And how does that work? Tell me a little bit. Like, if I want to get 10 of my prospects onto a jet, how what's the process of doing that?
Okay, first of all, you would probably talk to either Jimmy or JC in our sales department. And we give you an online quote. How many people? Is it a drop off? Is it an overnight? Is it a 4-day stay? We get all the details. So how many miles is it? Is it an hour away? Is it cross country? And all those things go into effect. The size of the jet, the cost is all based on how far you go and how many people are going and how long are you staying. Gotcha.
And from a logistics standpoint, where do you start and where do you stop and where do you go?
Well, interesting you ask. We go based on, we have our jets based in certain places, like in Scottsdale. It's great for light body and medium jets. West Palm Beach, we have your heavier jets, and New York, we have heavier jets. So we can fly from, let's say, Scottsdale. We can take a Premier from Phoenix all the way to Texas, and that'll hold 7 people comfortably.
Gotcha.
You've got your lavatory, you've got your Wi-Fi. It really kind of depends. And we have a lot of automotive groups that have to fly, say, from Scottsdale to Dallas, and they'll all pull their money together because none of them want to get on a Southwest flight.
Yeah, no one wants to get a Southwest
flight. A couple
flight.
of them are talking about, hey, can you help us buy a jet? They like it so much, and they all need the write-offs.
Yeah, I know it's a great tax deduction. It's an interesting thing. What are people's biggest misconceptions about using private jets?
They don't do their due diligence. You really want to go with somebody who's reputable, and you want to go with somebody who's been in the business. It's a high cash flow business, so it attracts some of the not so great people.
Gotcha. How does that? What happens when it goes bad?
Well, I'll tell you, for instance, like Wheels Up, for instance, they've gone bankrupt I don't even know how many times. There's a lot of memberships. I really say stay away from memberships.
Really?
Yeah, just because we already know what it costs to fly people. We do the numbers. We live it every day. And they sell them relatively low, but then they go bankrupt. They go through all the dollars. We just printed two companies that went bankrupt in our last publication. The numbers they sell, they are great at sales, but the numbers don't line up.
And what happens when that happens? If you're, yeah.
That you're out of luck sometimes. Otherwise, like Wheels Up got a big cash infusion from Delta Airlines, so I don't know how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
But like Volato had a bunch of Honda jets and they went bankrupt, and the people that went in there, I think they're gone. And that's what happens. Some of the bigger ones, they just go after more investment dollars. So they're constantly chasing the tail. It's kind of like software companies. When I sold software in the 90s, I always knew which ones would make it. The ones that didn't have a lot of cash, so they had to be really resourceful and careful with their money, they made it. The ones that got the big cash infusion went bankrupt. Our last company we sold, the guy was out of business within 8 months because he didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, I mean, this is amazing. So if I wanted to use one of your jets and I'm like, hey, because it makes sense, right? If your average client value is $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 and you want to get in with a big company, what's better than inviting them on a plane ride with five other amazing people, right? Who can say no to that?
Exactly.
So, if I wanted to get started and I wanted to do something like that, how do I get in touch with you?
Well, just reach out to me and I'll put you in touch with the team. And what we'll do is we'll get all the details. How many people are going? Where are you going? What is it you want your clients to experience too? Like one of the things that I'm doing is I'm leveraging the jets to do masterminds for people. They want to do $100,000 mastermind. That's great. Where do you want to go? And let's use one of the jets and we'll help you get there. So it's going to be a great experience for your clients, but it's also really going to blow their mind as far as, getting them to next tier mindset.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's an amazing way to do that. And they will never forget it, right?
They will never forget it. And we have one guy, we have we call it the baby jet. It's a mini jet. And we do an intro flight for two to Sedona for Creekside Dining at Le Berge, which is it's so beautiful. It's a top wedding destination, but we fly them in. But one of our advertisers, this is their giveaway at their Christmas party every year. That's their grand prize. They go win a raffle for an intro flight, and once we get them on the plane, we know. We already know how they're going to feel. They already called. Can we get a bigger jet? Can we pay the difference? We want to take other people. It's like, sorry. So Sedona has a really tiny airport.
Oh, yeah.
So we are locked in with that particular plane.
Oh, man. I went and ate at the restaurant in the Sedona airport, which it's up on the butte and it's amazing. It's up on the mesa. So it's like, it's elevated and it's so cool. I was thinking about that. I mean, this would be so fun to fly into here and fly out.
It is. You just have to have a small jet to do that, though. It won't accommodate the bigger jets.
I can't imagine the views though flying into there too.
Well, come to Phoenix and we'll take you up there and you'll find it.
I will for sure. This is fantastic. Lea, thank you so much for being on the Garlic Marketing Show. We'll put a link to all this in the show notes. And of course, folks, if you want to get not only the all of Lea's information and get all the links, and also we can show a summary and a checklist of things to do with all the ideas, make sure to opt in below and we'll send you all the show notes, and you'll get all the Garlic Marketing shows as well as our YouTube planner for 2025. They'll make you into the trusted advisor. Lea, thanks again from Legacy Jets. Thank you so much for being on.
Oh, you're welcome. And can I just say that we're excited that Ian's going to be in our next magazine, our next Speaker Life magazine. So I'm so excited. to have you there because your information's so important. And scoot on down to Scottsdale. We'll get you in one of these jets.
I will be there. I'll be there in a second. And thank you all so much for making Lea and I part of your story. This has been Iron Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.